You know what day it is? No, it's not Nudie Magazine Day. No, it's not Rex Manning Day either. It's Control Arm and Motor Mount Day. Gosh, guys.
Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, you're not going to get notifications when new videos come out.
We have to replace the lower control arm. We're going to undo the nut on the ball joint. It should be an 18 millimeter. We have our bolt for the front of the lower control arm, which is a 21 millimeter. We have the lower bolt that goes up into the upper nut. The upper nut is a 24 millimeter, or you can hold it with a 15/16. And the bottom is a 21 millimeter. The only thing we're going to run into is, in order to get this front bolt, you can see our transmission's going to be in the way. When that bolt comes out, I highly doubt we'll be able to clear it. So I'm going to start by taking off the front bolt for the motor mount, because we have to replace that anyway. Hopefully then we can jack up the transmission, raise it up enough to get that bolt out. I used a piece of wood in between the jack and the transmission. You never put metal on metal if you can avoid it. It's probably not the best place to actually put pressure on, is the casing of the transmission right there, but I don't have a lot of options. Hopefully it's enough room to get that bolt out. Let's get our control arm free on the bottom for the ball joint here. Fairly easily, as I expected it would. We just put the ball joint on like a week ago. Give us enough. Aha, gave us enough room. Sweet. Yeah. As Macho Man Randy Savage would say, oh yeah! So we're going to disconnect the sway bar up here. Should be a 19 millimeter, might be an 18. Before I just go gung-ho, I lied, it's an 18. Take our 18 millimeter. I'm gonna go do the same on the other side so we can swing the sway bar out of the way. Now we should be able to rotate our sway bar up and out of the way. There we go. Which is going to give us the room we need to pull out our control arm. And just look how bad that bushing was. Yeah, that thing's bad. Let's take a moment to appreciate just how bad this bushing was. I don't think this bushing was as bad as it could have been, but then you compare it to the nice new one that we have, and I can barely, and by barely I mean I can't move it at all, so that should really firm up our ride. We're going to start by putting the bushing back in there, get our front part of the control arm up, bolt up our ball joint, put it back together. We're not going to put the sway bar back down because we're going to need to do the same thing on the other side, so we'll leave that up until we reconnect our sway bar links. We've got our control arm installed, so we've got our brand new bushing back here. We have our front bushing on the control arm, and we have our lower ball joint reinstalled. So hopefully, with all this stuff replaced, we should have a pretty sweet ride. I'm going to get an alignment done next week, so that should hopefully make everything wear really well on the tires, as well as get 2 new front tires installed. While we have it apart, and we already have the 15 millimeter bolt out, you can see there's some pretty good cracking on that front motor mount. We're going to take the time to replace it. 2 16 millimeter bolts here, 15 millimeter bolt up there. We already have the motor jacked up a little bit, so we should be able to work that out of there after we get it unbolted. They are in fact 2 8 millimeter bolts. I'm going to take those out and see if that gives us enough room to get that coolant pipe out of the way. Note to self, wear safety glasses so you don't whack yourself in the face like I did. The coolant pipe undone, I think it gives us just enough room to at least get our motor mount, twist it around. Alright, you kind of have to go up with this side over here on the driver's side, but it gives you enough room to get the motor mount out of the way. Then we just grab our new motor mount. There's a tab in the front, that's what goes towards the front. I'm gonna make the effort, push it up to get it back in there. Get that tab to drop in. We'll put we have our 1/16mm bolt for the back. We have an anti-vibration weight here. I made the mistake one time of removing that off of a car thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. No, they make a kind of a big deal. So never, ever, ever remove that weight. It's there for a reason. Now we have our motor mount installed. Should hopefully cut down a little bit of engine vibration. Not that we didn't have any, not that we had any issues before, but new parts always help. Now that we have our driver's side done, which I'm going to say is the harder of the two because of that front lower control arm bolt, we're going to go over to the passenger side here. We're going to take this one apart and do it on time lapse. But we have our rear bolt there, we have our front bolt there with a ton of room. Same thing, ball joint, everything else. Yeah, let's see how it goes. The right side only took me probably about 25 minutes compared to the left side, which took me a lot longer because of that one bolt. But I had also done it, so I kind of had an idea of how to get everything in. One thing I did do that I'm not really happy about is I did nick my brand new boot on my ball joint, so we'll have to end up replacing that. But we're going to put the sway bar link back in here, push this through. Well, we've got everything tightened up. We've got that sway bar link connected on this side. We're going to go connect it on the other side. Nobody ever watches this far in the videos anyway to actually see how things probably come out. So, yeah. What are you still doing here? Nobody ever makes it this far in the video. I mean, I guess if you made it this far, then, geez, you're a dedicated watcher, but nobody's that dedicated. Well, if you made it this far, you know how to replace the control arms on the left and the right and the motor mount. But if you can hit like, and I'd sure appreciate if you could hit subscribe. It means a lot to me. But hopefully I see you next time. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Get out of here. Go.